Welcome to Three and Out with Jason and Kevin. I am Jason. That is Kevin. We are brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation, Cincinnati Bengals website. We are a part of the Orange and Black Insider on YouTube. Subscribe, follow us there. And we are part of now our audio side, podcast side is Believe, BLEAV, in Cincy. Believe in Cincy, a proud member of the Believe Network. It's not just us. It's Anthony and John over at OBI. It's Matt and Willie with Matt and Willie No Ball. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends with that whole crew. And since it's in July, but the Jungle Fest, I just totally blanked on the name for the big Bengals festival. Either way, Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends.
Just got to keep on going.
Yeah, we're just going to keep on rolling. So that's coming up in July, and we'll be a part of that. We'll be there doing a live show. So we'll be part of that. We'll see you there. Anyway, how you doing, Kevin?
Doing all right. It's called Jungle Jam, by the way.
Jungle Jam, yes. Thank you. Jungle Jam coming up. We'll be there. Excited about it. All right. So today's show. Right.
But yeah, the fan base is divided. The fan base is torn. They want to sign Tee Higgins. They don't want to sign Tee Higgins. They're mad at Tee Higgins. They're mad at the organization. You should be mad at the organization. They've handled this really, really, really poorly. But that does not change the fact that signing Tee Higgins is a mistake. And we're here to try to convince you of that because we agree.
Yeah.
A lot of times we try to debate this kind of stuff, but we're on the same side on this one. Signing Tee Higgins is a mistake.
Yep, it would be a mistake. I have 5 reasons, specific 5 reasons, why it would hinder their long-term success. And really, I think it would be bad for Tee Higgins. I don't think it would be good for him either, for his career growth, So, I think this is one of those things everyone was really loud about, they got to do it, they got to do it, they got to do it. And then Justin Jefferson signed this mega deal. And I think everyone realized at that point, well, what they're going to have to pay Chase is going to be like on that level or more. They can't afford T and Chase. I think the rhetoric about they have to extend T, I think that's calmed down a little bit. But I did see a take that was wild, is that they should extend T and trade Chase.
Yep, I've heard that.
Which is
it's insanity.
Absolute insanity.
Look, I love T. He is not Chase. Chase is a generational talent. Chase is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Tee Higgins is not. Tee Higgins might not be a Hall of Famer. I know we don't want to hear that, but it's just the truth. There's not that many who get in. Just because a player's good or even very good does not mean they have even a high chance of getting into the Hall of Fame. Name recognition matters, numbers matter. Tee Higgins will probably not have them.
I have a perfect example for you. AJ Green. Great great wide receiver. AJ Green's not going to be in the Hall of Fame ever.
No.
Chad Johnson. Great wide receiver, won't be in the Hall of Fame. Tee Higgins is not AJ Green. He's not Chad Johnson. Jamar Chase is a different thing. And I think one big thing that I always come to when I think about this whole argument is the fact that Burrow and Jamar Chase are even on the same team is such a strange circumstance that it ever happened.
Sure.
He gets through one, he doesn't get hurt against the Commanders. His rookie year, maybe they win 2 more games. They don't have the 6th pick. They're not getting Chase. You know what I mean? Instead, they're already extended Tee Higgins. He's a number 1 wide receiver, and we're not having this conversation. But he did get hurt. They did get Chase. The 2 of them are together. They have this chemistry that they had in college. They have now. Chase is a golden goose egg. Can't ever get rid of it. And I don't think Burrow wants you to. Tee Higgins is a good wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver.
A very good wide receiver.
He's a number 1 wide receiver on most teams, but not here.
That's the issue. Here is, I feel like everyone this is my path of how I got here. Let's do this real quick.
Okay.
Is because I think we all started in the same place. Is we were all just so shocked that we were good. You know what I mean? Like we really
Yeah.
were. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Is Burrow and T got drafted. We weren't great. It was some growing pains. Then Chase got drafted, and now we're this like three-headed monster with Boyd in there as well. But this three-headed monster between the three of them that is unstoppable. The deep threat was so much fun.
Mhm.
And we all got our backs up about it. We all got to the point of defending. Oh, you're never going to be able to sign all three of them. You're never going to be able to extend all three of them. And that was true. But we
Yeah.
didn't want to hear it because we hung our hats on this as our identity. But then that identity started to get chipped away at. We started to see them taking away the downfield ball. We started seeing that this offense had some holes. The defense had some holes. And a lot of people, myself included, started going down the path of like, okay, do we want Tee Higgins or do we want
Right.
one of the best? We could maybe get one of the best interior pass rushers in the
Right.
league.
Yeah.
We could do that. Like, do we want Tee Higgins or do we want to try to grab a tight end? Do we want this? Do we want that? We also have to keep in mind that the Bengals still, and I think Amarius Mims and Matt Lee are have incredible upside.
Yep.
As of right now, the Bengals are completely unproven to be able to draft an offensive line.
Right
We
now they
need
are.
the cap
Absolutely.
space to be able to
Yeah.
buy one.
Think about
Or I'm telling you right now, no one gives a crap he's downfield
Right.
because
Oh, I
Burrow's
know.
getting destroyed every game.
So I think the number one, like if we're going to list reasons, I think the number one thing is if you could think of all the premium positions on a football team, you have a quarterback as premium. That's number one, obviously. Wide receiver has become a premium position when it comes to pay. Cornerback is a premium position. Edge rusher is a premium position. And then more and more interior pass rushers, because they're rare, are becoming in,
Yes.
you know, the non premium positions are linebacker, running back, tight end, you know, maybe some wide receivers like slot guys. Okay. So do you want a premium quarterback and two premium wide receivers and have nothing else? No money to give anybody. No big free agent acquisitions for corners. No big free agent. No Trey Hendrickson. No DJ Reed. No Sheldon Rankins. You have to rely on them drafting all these guys to fill in and then contribute immediately as rookies to be good. And that's just not really realistic. It's just
It's
not.
not.
It's not. You can't. College football is so different than the NFL now. So incredibly different that a lot of the offensive linemen coming in have to have like just a new skill set. And I mean, Amarius Mims is a freak of nature. You know what I mean? But he hasn't played in the NFL yet. He hasn't. You know, we don't know what he can do. We don't know, you know, what any of these guys can do. And the Bengals have, like you said, they have a bad track record with offensive linemen, a really bad track record with offensive linemen. The best offensive lineman they've drafted in the last however many years is Jonah Williams.
Yep.
And Jonah Williams is a mediocre tackle at
Yes,
best.
yes.
Mediocre tackle at best. Okay. The second best one that they've drafted, Cordell Volson. Right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And he's
after
a little
those
below
two,
average.
I know. And then after those two, there's a huge drop. Cedric Ogbuehi, a ton of them. There's a ton of interior and exterior. Billy Price, you know, a ton of offensive linemen they've missed on. But when you bring in guys like Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and Orlando Brown Jr., you have the cap space to do that. If you sign Tee Higgins 5 years from now, you're not going to have the cap space to do. No, 5 years is way too. 2 years from now, you're not going to have the cap space for these guys. You know what I mean?
No, not unless you hit on every draft. Unless you
Yeah,
get
and that's just
5
not
to 7 starters
right.
out of almost every draft.
Right. And
go ahead.
I was going to say that's not them right now. It's not. You know, they've had some really good draft, like the 2020 draft class is going to go down as one of the all-time greats because you got Burrow, you got Higgins, you got who else you get there? You got Logan Wilson, I think there. Had a lot of great players. But yeah, I think at best right now you can say, hey, you know, 3 of these guys might be difference makers. 3 out of the 10, you know, that's not good enough if you can't sign free agents. It's not. It's just not.
Exactly. You need the ability to shore things up. And I also want to bring this up is let's talk a little bit about the role of a wide receiver like Chase, the role of a wide receiver like Higgins, because it's more complicated than just they get open, they catch the ball, they make touchdowns. They A wide receiver like Chase pulls focus from the entire field
Yeah.
to the point where he makes everyone else around him better. That has value. That has monetary value, even if Chase is not the yards leader in a specific game. We know the reason whoever else is the yards leader is because they were scared of Chase. That
Yeah.
effect has diminishing returns over the course of the players. Your wide receiver two, no matter how good that wide receiver two is, can never have the same effect because there's only so much defensive focus to go around. And if they're
Right.
all staring at Chase, that makes T better. But no one's staring at T, no matter how good he gets. So part of the value of him is lost on our team. Where on a
Yeah.
different team, he would have that value, meaning that we simply do not need him enough to pay him what other teams will pay him. I mean, it's just
Right.
that simple. I know that it can get frustrating to be like, well, other teams will pay him more because he's more valuable to other teams. He
Right. That's the
just
thing.
is.
Right. That's the thing. Like, I don't know who the wide receiver 2 is in Minnesota. Who is it? Probably some young guy that they just drafted maybe last year. I don't know. Jordan Addison, right? Drafted him last year. Jordan Addison, I think. Either way,
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's say it is Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison has a cap on his career as long as he's in Minnesota because of just what you said. Nobody's going to supplant Justin Jefferson. No one's going to. He's the best wide receiver to be in Minnesota since Randy Moss. No one's going to make him the number 2 receiver. No one's going to focus on anyone more than Justin Jefferson. So Jordan Addison's never going to be as valuable to them as Justin Jefferson. But let's say he's just as good as Tee Higgins, like you said. Someone else says, "Hey, that's a guy that we could use. He could be our number 1 guy." They'll go get him, and they
Yep.
can pay him. But just like you said, he's not valuable enough to pay him what he deserves to be paid. And he deserves to be paid. He deserves to be paid like a number 1 receiver because he is, and he's not going to get paid that here. Chase is going to reset the market. Higgins, even if they kept Higgins, he's not going to make as much as Chase. It's just like there's a glass ceiling there he's not going to get through. He's going to have to leave to get through it. And that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's what they're doing. The writing's on the wall. They're not going to extend him. I mean, what they saw the gift they got handed to them with Chase. They know Chase is their ride or die. Chase and Burrow. They're going to go with that duo as long as they can. Higgins is just like a icing on the cake while he's here. Icing on the cake. We're going to try to get as much football out of Tee Higgins as we possibly can before he goes somewhere else. And we get a compensatory pick for him. I would have preferred that. What?
Just saying. I want to point out the compensatory pick is why we should be mad at the organization. They should have traded.
I was just about to say
that's absolutely what should have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But so that's not to say they handled this correctly, and having him just walk, which is probably what's going to end up happening at this point, is the worst possible scenario, other than signing him. Because I do want to point this out: the Bengals, certain teams have certain track records, and certain certain scouting departments are very, very good at certain things. The Bengals can do 2 things really, really well in the draft. They can draft quarterbacks, and they can draft wide receivers. Carson Palmer was a great quarterback. I know we all hate him. I do too. Don't worry about it. Andy Dalton was an incredible value for a 2nd-round pick. And then we got Burrow. They know quarterbacks. We have replaced Chad Johnson with AJ Green with Jamar Chase, and now we have Tee Higgins. We have too many good wide receivers. Do you want to take the money? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You finish.
Do you want to take the money and pay for a wide receiver that we have a very good chance of being able to replace in the draft because we're good at it? Or do you want to take that money and use it to shore up the stuff that we're not traditionally as good at, such as offensive line or a few other positions? Like right now, we got the quarterback room does not look great. Man, it would be really nice to have some room to go out there and buy a really good quarterback. Yeah, we just can't.
So, again, just like you said, I was going to say what they should have done was they should have traded him. Get a 1st-round pick, I'm sure. Extra 1st-round pick. Who knows who that turns into? And you got a premium player maybe with that 1st-round pick that you hold on to for the next 5 years for cheap, But they didn't. Now, I see like a scale here. You have, hey, let's trade Tee Higgins. He's never going to have a higher value than he does right now. Let's get a first and see what we can do with it. Or they say, hey, what if Tee Higgins, what if they stay healthy and Burrow stays healthy and the offensive line works and it's just so overwhelming for offenses that no one can stop us and we win the Super Bowl and then he walks? Are you willing to say, I'm happy he was here if they win the Super Bowl and he walks and it's no longer worst case
If we win
scenario
a
for you?
Super Bowl, I will say anything whatsoever. I don't care. If we win a Super Bowl, I will admit I don't know anything about football. I will run naked through the streets, screaming and crying simultaneously. I will make an absolute disaster of my life with the way I'll behave for a solid week after we win the Super Bowl.
All right, cool.
That isn't.
It's a bad question then.
It just, yeah. I mean, not because I get your point. Will I admit I was wrong? Probably not, because I think there's multiple paths to win the Super Bowl. Nothing about what I'm saying is saying Tee Higgins doesn't help you win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Tee Higgins is an amazingly good player. He
Yeah.
does absolutely help you win a Super Bowl. I'm simply saying there might be other ways that might have a greater overall value than signing Tee Higgins.
I get that.
But yeah, if we win a Super Bowl, hell yeah. And I'm glad, and I don't have no bitterness here. I'm glad T was on the team and he got the ring, and then we can just, hey,
say bye.
Thanks for helping us get over the finish line. I hope you have a hell of a career. On the Titans, because apparently all ex-Bengals now go to the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's where you should go. Tennessee Titans. Just go down there. Yeah, I mean, really, the reality of the situation is like we spelled out. They do, but they don't have the money. Okay. If they want to be smart about their money and spend money at places where they don't need to, places where they don't. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, they don't have the money. Realistically, they don't have the money. They're great at drafting wide receivers. There's no really reason to try to keep Tee Higgins like you think. And Jermaine Burton could be the wide receiver 2 of the future. We don't know. We don't know. I think that had he not had any off-field issues, he could be totally a first-round pick, maybe first or second-round pick, possibly. I don't know.
Sure.
So, there's really nothing else to say. I mean, I don't think there's anything anyone could say to change my mind about this, but I think that's all there is to say. You got anything else?
I agree. No, that's it. Right. I'll miss him when he's gone, but it is time.
Yep.
We have our core on the offense, which is going to be Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow from here on out, and the rest should be filled with a revolving door of homegrown talent
outside of the offensive line.
I mean, yeah. But and also just free agent acquisitions where necessary.
Right. Well, yeah,
it is what it is.
But the 2 core pieces that are here forever, Burrow and Chase.
Yes,
I totally agree. As long as you have those, you have everything. You don't need anything else.
Yes,
I mean you do, but you have the money for other stuff too. So, all right. Again, we are on the Orange and Black Insider on YouTube. Subscribe, follow us there, and we are a member of the Believe Network on Believe in Cincy. It's John and Anthony on OBI. It's Matt and Willie on Matt and Willie No Ball, and it's Bengal Jim talking football with Bengal Jim and friends. We're 3 and out. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Who day?